how can I make my observations better? How can I have my students improve the quality of the observations they create? Everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Inquiry Zone. My name is Douglas Hunnings, and I am the Director of STEM Education here at ETHOS Innovation Center.
And this is John Taylor, the Senior Director of STEM Education. Glad to be back because I know we have some great questions.
We do.
Douglas, you got a good question for us?
Yeah, so the first question here brought us to us by teachers is, how can I make my observations better? How can I have my students improve the quality of the observations they create?
Oh, we could talk about this all day, but I'm thinking the angle we want to go with this is about our senses.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'll tell you that when I was in the classroom, even in the upper grades, and I would ask my students to make observations, I was just getting observations with what they can see. Like, I observed this. I observed the tree. I observed the owl pellet. So they're using their senses of, to see, which is great because we encourage that. How do you make observations? Using your senses. But I wanted more out of the observations. I wanted more details. So one way that I was able to do that is really by encouraging to use all their senses. Yes, you can look at the owl pellet, but is there something you can smell? What about if you would try to feel it, use those different senses. And when I encouraged multi-sensory with observations, I was getting more information out of them.
No, I think that's great. Yeah, and I think when we think about the different senses, they naturally lead to different styles of learning on how some kids learn. Some kids are tactile. They have to touch, they have to feel to activate their learning at the highest level. Not meaning they won't activate at different levels. And most students have multi-layers of ways that they'll engage and activate and be able to learn. But when you think about your different senses, making sure that we have auditory content. So, as a teacher, are we doing things during the observation process? We're maybe using repetition, using voice, using tone. That this makes it fun for the kids. Have the kids repeating verbally after you their observations as they're going through it and talking them through, to touching them and expressing what they feel, being able to draw, being able to write, move their hands. Even recording, you got the hand movement that is going to let those kids to layer it into their heads. One thing I always thought back was the movie Contact with Jodie Foster in it. And one of the astronomers is blind. And he picks up subtleties in the signals because his hearing is so enhanced. It's what he uses. They doesn't need his eyes when they're doing astronomy even. So you think, that's wild. And so I think about my own students. I've always thought, if I had a blind, deaf student in the classroom, and I have in the past, it's like, we include all those kids. And by including kids with disabilities as such, it actually is inclusive of kids we don't think are disabled or have learning handicaps. But the reality is all of our kids have different ways of learning and engaging.
Mm-hmm. So that's why it's important that we want to encourage that, like you mentioned, using the different senses to really engage learner and just really helping them understand how to make those observations and to get that more information. Because when you gather more information from the observation, it really helps get your baseline, your understanding of whatever you're trying to investigate.
But how would you record those different observations?
So of course, when we record it by writing out, like you mentioned, drawing pictures, but also sometimes you can record it. If your student has a tablet, have them go outside and record and even talk about, what are you observing, and then maybe pick it up and feel it, and then they can verbally say that as well. Having that way to engage with the technology, that's another way to be able to share information.
I do think that's a good investment of our time as teachers to learn this new technology, which allows kids to record videos of themselves and document things. When they're documenting things, they're observing things, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so using these tips, it's a great way to really help beef up and provide more rigor within the observation, which I think in the end is going to help your students have a better understanding of whatever they're trying to learn in science.
Very much so. All right. Well, thank everybody for joining us for this episode. And wish the best for all teachers in this year and just have a great run with it.
Yes, we'll see you next time, everyone.
Yep. Also, don't forget down at the bottom, look for a little info as far as send us questions. You have questions.
Yes,
we
love
very
them.
much love discussing them. Send them back to us. And on a Friday, we'll take time to kick these out as part of our Inquiry Zone episodes.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
We're excited to work with our amazing partners at Hawthorne Elementary School. Your student dedication is awesome. And thank you to the dedicated and outstanding teachers at Kennedy Academy for their work in the Inquiry Zone to better serve their students. Thank you.
ETHOS offers the Inquiry Zone professional development to schools. Helping to ensure a robust, fun, and cross-curricular approach to science is supported in all grades. Please contact us at contact@ethosinc.org.